Thanks, Marshall. Hi, everybody. Today is November 19th, 2025. This is the Wednesday CalPADS Q&A. My name is Alex Zandi. I'm a data analyst at CSIS supporting CalPADS, and driving for us today is Mr. Paul Higgins. We're going to move on to announcements. Reminder that this Friday is our recommended zero errors milestone date. We're looking and strongly recommending that you have zero errors by this Friday so that you have approximately 2 weeks to review your reports with your key players at your districts and your CELPAs. This will allow you to have some time. If there's any changes that you need to do, you can circle back and make the changes, get a new revision, and get those new reports reviewed again. We want to make sure that we have quality data, right? It's not enough that you have zero errors. We want to have the good data to be used for the initial certification deadline. Speaking of the initial certification deadline, that is also coming up fairly quickly. That is December 12th. That is just about 3 weeks away. But if you don't count the Thanksgiving holiday, and I don't know how many days you're going to have off, that's just about 15 working days. So please keep in mind that, that's coming up real quick. And that initial deadline, it has a lot of implications, right? Data's used with that December 12th LEA approved data. CELPAs are not required to approve, but strongly encouraged. And also, there was a communication that was sent out yesterday about this milestone. And thank you, Paul. That's the message that got sent out. It's important to remember or take note of that note that's on there, italicized, is that for LEAs that fail to submit or fail to LEA approve that initial deadline, a communication will be sent out to your administrators, to your superintendents, I should say. So again, that initial deadline, December 12th, it's a biggie. And we also had a communication sent out today stating that CalPADS will be offline this Saturday. I don't know how many of you were planning to work over the weekend. I hope none of you. Just in case you were, CalPADS is going to be offline from 7 a.m. to 1 p.m. this Saturday. Okay, that's it for me. Angela, you want to take it away?
I do. So we did have a release go in yesterday. Unfortunately, I haven't been handed off the fixes that went in yet. So the entire list. I have two that I'll talk about in a second. So that hasn't been updated yet on what Paul has up on his screen there. The two fixes that went in on kind of over the weekend, early Monday morning-ish. If you have already certified Fall 1, or if you had already marked it as in review and you were starting to pass those reports around prior to Monday, please take a look at your revised uncertified 1.17 report. There's potential that you could have more students on those reports. So the two fixes were related to, one was related to the MEPS file, where the file we were getting was showing the students as no longer eligible when they actually were. So that's been corrected. And the other one where retired SSIDs in the direct cert file that were previously eligible for direct certification were, once the SSID got retired and the replacement SSID was in there, they were showing up as no longer eligible. So that's been fixed as well. We are going to send out a listserv message with what I just talked about. We're just kind of waiting because there is one dangling piece for that MEPS file that we're still waiting to get fixed. So we'd like to just do it all at once. But for now, those were the two biggies that you may see an increase on your revised uncertified 1.17 if you had already certified. If you hadn't certified and hadn't marked those as in review, you're fine. It already picked up those changes. And so whatever's on 117 has those fixes in them already. And I think that's all I had today, Alex.
Okay, thank you. Sean, anything from your end?
Have everything covered. Thank you.
I don't see anybody from SPED office just yet, Alex. So I wonder for the
Okay.
SPED questions, if you don't feel comfortable answering them, I know CDE, Sean said that they were having an all-staff meeting, that she ducked out of early to join us. So if we want to just leave those open and come back when
Yeah.
hopefully Dominic can join us, or if you feel like you're up for it, go ahead and answer it.
Okay. And I think the first one is sped related. So let's start off with Madison. Question one says, we have two charter schools within our COE whose data we report to CDE CALPADS. As these charter schools report through their authorizer, our COE, BCOE. We're confused as to why the DSEA cannot equal BCOE. Can you help us understand this? I don't remember the validations off the top of my head, but I thought that we had inactivated a couple. Maybe this is
I
one
think
that,
they got turned back on today or
oh,
yesterday, Alex. I believe that they were adjusted to exclude court schools.
mhm.
Um, I'm sorry, not court schools. I'm going to say that wrong, so I'm not going to say it. But they were changed, in this release, I believe.
Okay, okay.
But that might be one we want to let
Yeah.
Dominic take a crack at.
And thanks, Madison, for spelling out the BCOE is the Butte County Office of Ed. And also, if you could type in the specific validation error that you're getting, and then if we get CDE back, we'll circle back and then we can bring up that specific validation. Okay, we're going to move on to anonymous participant. Question one, do teachers need to have students enrolled in their courses reported for fall two to be counted for CALSAS? In other words, would RSP teachers be included in CALSAS with just RSP courses and no students enrolled? As a rule, our district does not enroll students into resource courses since the teachers generally provide in-classroom services. I believe that it will get picked up if the teacher does not have any students associated. So you're talking about a job class that's a 27, right? An itinerant teacher that's pull in or push out. Those, I believe, still get sent to CALSAS. Sean, correct me if I'm wrong.
You're not incorrect. But you may still, they get picked up by CalPADS. So to answer her initial question, is that a correct way to report them in CalPADS? Yes. The second part of the question, though, is regarding CTC and their misassignments. And so how that data gets ingested by CTC may still create a misassignment, and where your HR staff members are then reporting the student names, or not names, but their SSID numbers in order to be able to understand if that teacher has the appropriate authorizations for those students' disabilities. So, in short, at some point, do you end up reporting the student information? Yes, because it has a connection to the teacher. So whether you do it on the front end or do it on the back end, that's your local practice. And CDE will work to continue our communication and our guidance in that area.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have Claudia from Hawthorne School District. Question one. Sorry, I'm trying to. Okay. Says, hi, I have an application for 3 siblings. The parents completed the application on October 21st, 2025, but they withdrew the students from the district on October 17th. Can we still use these applications? The parent did not mention that she intended to withdraw the students at the time the application was completed. Then the question one says, could I please get a response for a service ticket sent on November 13th, and then provides the ticket number. I guess,
I think
Claudia, my
that's
question would
assigned to
be,
us.
oh, okay. I
I
don't know
think
what
I'm checking to make
application.
positive. Yeah. So I wasn't sure either. But I'm reading the ticket now. Claudia, the staff member that that this is assigned to, I reviewed this one. Let me just say that. The staff member that this one is assigned to for CDE, she's going to get back to you. Um, I know she has an answer. However, she is at a conference right now. Many of us are all doing double work here. So she's at a conference, I believe until tomorrow. It's like till tomorrow.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Mm,
okay. No, I think
I
so.
don't
I
know.
thought it was the 3 days and then out on Friday. She'll get back to you as soon as she's able to return from the conference. And when that is, I sadly don't know because I did a conference last week. So we're all just trying to hop in and support.
Yeah, side is through Friday. It is through
Oh,
Friday.
okay. Thank you, Marshall, because
That's where
Marshall is
I'm in.
there at site right now doing
That's
double
right.
duty. So Claudia, she'll get back to you though to say that. And yes, we're at the ticket.
Okay. Moving on to Jeremy. Question 1. Hi there. With the change to how migrant ed eligible students are tracked, I now have 3 students on my 1.1 report instead of my usual 0, as we don't typically run into this student subgroup. I don't have anything in my SIS that would show these students as migrant ed. Are they accurate for the eligibility with my district? I am not sure I should be reporting them in my fall 1 numbers unless there is another way to verify this data and then communicate it with my administration that this program is now on our radar and needs to be implemented. And then follows up and says, I did submit a ticket right before this because I totally forgot I could possibly get an answer here. So if you guys would rather let the help desk deal with it, that is fine too. Um,
Can we get the ticket number though so we can close it out?
yeah,
Because I can answer this.
you want to take it, Sean?
No, he has a ticket in,
Oh,
so we don't duplicate our work. So I think we can answer it here, and then
yeah.
she's only to just close out the ticket.
Yeah.
But the data that's
So
coming in through the maps is the ultimate source, right? So I don't know
Splash
if
308, it talks about the MSIN data we're getting, and so now it's preloaded into CalPads for you, Jeremy. So we have it directly from the source. So you're not going to be submitting any program records for those students any longer. That the state determines who those students are, and we tell you. And if you looked up at each individual student, you'll also find a new container at the very bottom. It's read only, but it'll tell you their eligibility start date and end date, as well as their migrant ID number. And I'm going to post the flash for you. Alex, did you want to add anything?
no, that's just it. That those are valid students, and so you you should communicate it with your administrator that they should be on your radar now.
the ticket has been closed.
Cool. My goodness, so efficient. Um, we're going to move on to Susan. Hi Tech High. Question 1 says, I have checked the valid code document and I am unsure what the state course codes should be for the elementary push-in art, language, music, and PE courses. Please advise. And then Suanne
It's in
gave us,
the FAQ.
mhm, yeah. And
Music 9290 normally should be it. But again, make sure you look at your actual, what do you call that thing? Your course details, your course, that's not what it's called.
code
Your
set?
course outline.
Oh,
Thank you. At your LEA.
right. So Paul has it up on the screen, then Suanne pasted it on the chat. So a lot of group effort today. I love it. Thank you.
Yep. I'll put the FAQ in there too. So that's going to hop over to the
Yeah, the
answer tab, Susan. So if you want to check it there.
Moving on to, I don't know if this is the same anonymous participant or a different one. So you could please rename yourself. That way we were making sure that we're being fair and answering everyone's question once first. But I'm going to assume it's a different one. We're going to say question 1. Regarding the data quality checks that were sent out, how can I verify that the student level validations I have fixed were corrected properly? Another one for Dominic. Has he joined or?
Not yet. And
Okay.
Milo's not here either. And Joe is out of the office. So
Yeah,
Okay.
I was like, I pinged Dom. I forgot to hit send on Milo's message, but it seems like Angela already pinged her. So
We do have Audrey, who's like
yes.
Almost equivalent,
No,
right?
yeah,
There you go,
exactly.
exactly. I was like,
But
Audrey, you got some feedback if you want to provide and you can type fast enough. Normally you do. That'd be great.
Do
all
you want
right,
to
we'll
read
leave
her
it on
answer?
though. Oh, yeah. I mean, Audrey's answer says, assuming you are talking about special ed errors, you will need to review Report 1614 for plan records and the 16.21, which is the monitoring report for any timeline issues. That is the official list of what will be reported as of Census Day. We'll keep it here and then we'll circle back if CDE the SPED office comes online. Charlene's question 1 says, we have been reporting elementary PE and music teachers as 27 itinerant push and pull out teachers. Would it be more appropriate to report them as regular teachers 12 as they have their own classroom and keep the roster? Um,
Yes.
mhm.
Sorry, I had a
No, it's
randy moment. Um, the immediate answer was just yes. Yes, it is. If you're able to, yes. Who is it, Charlene? I don't know.
yes.
I lost the
Mhm.
screen. Charlene, yes. For reporting them as a 12 and rostered with your 9231 and the students, yes. And why? Because it is a lot from our understanding, it's a lot easier through your CalSAS monitoring to push those through because the students disability already comes up and everything there, and there's no extra work. One of our AMART colleagues would love you for proposing this. He proposed it again just today in the earlier meeting.
And then follows up and says, what if they all work at multiple sites?
That's okay.
Eh,
You would just
mhm.
split their FTE over those multiple sites.
They already have the students rostered to them, right? Might as well just give it to us. Question 2 for Madison. We'll skip it and come back. And okay. And Charlene says they do work at multiple sites. And Suan's saying you can use itinerant. And I mean, yes, you can use itinerant, but if the students are already rostered to the teacher, even within all the different school sites, then just report the 12 with the students. It's okay. I think the 27 is when there are no students rostered, right? And then that's when you want to tell CalPads, hey, don't expect any students with this teacher.
That's correct.
Next is Kausalia. Apologies if I mispronounced your name. From Fremont Unified. Question 1 says, are Prop 28 itinerant teachers reported to CalPads? I don't know what Prop 28
I don't either.
is.
If you can detail us what Prop 28 is. I sadly don't know off the top of my head. And I heard so many bills in the last week that I was like, you know what?
Oh, Paul is already looking
Yes,
it up for us.
your arts and music teachers, yes. And that goes back to the Q&A that uh, Angela put in earlier
The
for
FAQ.
the music. So those are examples of those are perfect examples of of teachers that you truly want reported because that goes to support that bill. And we can see that those teachers are being reported and they're matching their uh, authorizations for being able to provide that arts work.
So take a look at that FAQ. Oh, and I think Angela reposted it on the chat.
Thank you.
Mm. Next up, Chrissy from Fresno COE. Question 1, Angela, can you please repeat what you said about the 1.17 at the beginning of the Q&A? My internet was unstable and I missed a lot of what you said.
Sure, a lot of people have joined since then too, but if you are certified if you had certified prior to this week, Monday, or if you have your prior to Monday, you had put your fall 1 revision as in review, so it's not that's the one you're planning to certify. Go to your revised uncertified 1.17 report. Your LCFF unduplicated pupil counts could have increased due to 2 defects that were fixed kind of over the weekend, Monday morning-ish. And the 2 defects were, one is for the MEPS file. It had students flagged as migrant eligible end dates incorrectly. So your migrant counts could have gone up. And the other was related to direct certification and retired SSIDs. Kids were being flagged incorrectly and they should be fixed. That is fixed now. So your counts could be higher if you had already certified. If you hadn't already certified and didn't have one in review, don't worry about it. Those changes are just in there. Just proceed on your merry, happy little way.
And this will all be sent in communication.
We are going to communicate it. There was a dangling part of the MEPS defect that we kind of wanted to get resolved so we could just send it all at once. And so we don't have to pepper you with spam. Just to say, if you had already certified, go check that report. If it's higher, decertify and recertify the newer version so that you make sure you're getting the full count of your unduplicated pupils. So that's coming as soon as that other little piece gets fixed.
Next is Bavita from Poway. Question 1 says, a student with IEP completes 12th grade with a certificate of completion, E230-120, and then moves to transition program. While enrolled in transition program, they are able to complete certain credits. Can they eventually complete and receive alternative pathway diploma? When they receive the alternative diploma, we exit them with E230-102, correct? Oh. I know that there were a lot of very specific criteria that need to be met for students that are going to have an alternative pathway diploma. I think there was a flash that went out, I can't remember when, that talked about it. But maybe this is another one that the SPED office can answer, unless anyone here wants to take a stab at it.
Yeah, if you joined late, we don't have anybody from the CDE SPED office with us just yet. The CDE was having an all-staff meeting, and Sean from CDE ducked out of it to join us, but the others have not joined yet.
Yeah.
So we can leave her ticket open, and anybody that we don't get, in case Dominic doesn't join us before the 4 o'clock hour, we'll just ask you to submit a ticket, and we'll make sure we get that assigned to the right people.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cecilia, I see your question 2. We'll skip it for now. Carla's question 1. For middle school, we have a homeroom and advisory courses in which no grades are issued and only attendance is taken. Is it acceptable to not report these courses in CALPADS? No grades or credits are optional. Sean?
Yes. Sorry, I was asking for you to say it again, but I figured it out by your response.
Yeah, it's homeroom and advisory courses in which no grades are issued, only attendance is taken.
Yeah, and that's in the FAQs as well too. We really don't want you to report those either, not only for student reasons, but also staff reasons, because again, that goes back to a course that doesn't have a validation for it, but it doesn't require one. And so you giving that information to CDE, it has remember, it has a ripple effect of it. So, and ultimate, sadly, by reporting that course, like you're creating more work for yourselves and sending the information up, but then also in your HR staff, and then any of your curriculum staff, especially like when they're reviewing and digesting your CDE dashboard numbers or your CALPADS reports numbers for your LCAP. So it's just trying to bring it full circle.
Next is Joanne. Says, would love to hear the answer anyway to Claudia's question. Claudia's question.
Claudia was asking about the applications she received for kids who then left. Can she still process them? And I think, Sean, you said you wanted to answer that via our ticket.
Yes.
So maybe check back with
Yes,
us
because I
next week.
honestly don't remember the full answer because it wasn't my ticket, but I know we
I think
discussed it in a meeting.
my intuition is telling me you can probably just process them. If they were enrolled on Information Day, seems like it makes sense that they were eligible on Information Day.
For me, I believe that's correct, but I know Paula weighed in on a detail that I don't recall.
Okay.
So that's why I was gonna let Sarah respond back to it.
So Joanne, join us next Wednesday. We'll have an answer, hopefully.
Next is Stephanie from Visalia. Question 1, just to verify, do we have to submit 181 or 182 records for students that are direct cert? No, because the students already counted as they're already counted in that direct cert bucket and in your LCFF counts just solely because of direct cert. So the 182, 181 would be double whammy. You can give it to us. Yeah. You can give it to us, but it won't make any difference, right? So
yeah, if you think back what the impetus of direct certification was in the first place, it was to reduce your workload. And so you don't have to submit program records for directly certified students. But that said, a lot of people I talk to choose to do it anyway. I think it helps with them reconciling their local counts. But if you don't do it, the student still gets counted either way.
Yeah, I had this conversation with an LEA last week, and the reason that they do it is for their meal delivery system. For whatever reason, the DC attribute doesn't communicate, but the 181, 182 program records do.
Mm-hmm.
So for local pragmatism, they just add the records.
That makes sense.
Well, I don't know if you saw the shock on my face. I had no idea you were here.
He's driving.
Hi.
Oh, yay.
The ghost of Paul.
next is Larnie from Oxnard. Question 1 says, what is the importance of 1.24 or drawback counts by subgroup for fall 1? We're getting ready to meet with different staff that may be accountable to different data points for fall 1, and I want to know what we can tell them about the importance of the 1.24 report and what do we need to correct or look into if need be. Thank you.
Paul, can you go back and show how you got there? Paul went over to the user manual, hit that search bar at the top, and he typed in report, or he typed in 1.24. Sometimes I feel like you have to type in the word report. It lingers on me too. But this gives you generally within the description and in like the notes, it gives you the importance of like any report within CALPADS. And it does that for the county authorizers and any reports that are available. If you type them in there, Kyron has beautifully created this, he keeps it so amazingly updated. I don't know how, because we make changes, I feel like all the time. But he does so. And so within it though, specifically for 1.24 though, Larnie, it's noting for the cohorts, and the dates that they're being dropped out, that date range. And so for those students then, to me, people at your LEA that might need to know are going to be your attendance folks. If it wasn't already on their radar, and what does your attendance process say? for that student being out of school or considered, as a dropout. What's their follow-up with it? Also, your special education personnel data may need to know, because if that student again is a dropout and there's a compliance for SPED for child find, um, are they able to follow up on those procedures in a timely manner as well too? So it's probably information that your LEA already has, but just to ensure that like students aren't falling through the cracks and identifying what category of a dropout they're in and why, um, helps you to be able to see if that information needs to be updated and reconciled within your SIS and then ultimately sent up to CALPADS.
I'm going to tack on, Sean, if I may. Paul, if you could navigate to the CSIS website and then type in resources in the search bar. I mean, let's click on the resources box and then type in consequences. Did you spell it correctly?
CES.
It was up there, Angela. You're not
There.
crazy. I promise you it was up there. I go
No, it's
find
there.
it for you.
It's there.
Okay.
So at the bottom, towards the bottom of page 1, it talks about the dropouts are counted towards or reported to the feds through EdFax and this. I don't know how they say that acronym. Sean, do you see SPR? And the box on the right says it may impact funding as well. So there you have some concrete information, Larnie, to bring with you for that meeting.
No, that one either. I think we just call it state reporting.
Oh, that CSPR thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Consolidated State Performance Report.
Okay. Sue-Ann, we see your question too. We'll circle back. Thanks, Asia. We're going to go now to Carla's question 1. I stumbled upon a private ISP student this year that my predecessor did not report the last 2 years in CALPADS. Oh, it disappeared on me. Hold on. Someone answer it? Or did I click it? I don't know. That was weird. Okay, our SPED department said that since they are in triennial re-evals, it wasn't reported the last 2 years because there wouldn't be any plan update. I just want to verify if this is the correct way and would be a recommended reporting procedure.
Say the first part again. The
Yeah,
student had been reported for 2 years, but what happened? The SPED, what?
the SPED department said that since they are in triennial re-evals, it wasn't reported the last 2 years because there wouldn't be any plan updates.
So maybe the plan record. Maybe she was trying to say the plan record wasn't updated, but the plan record gets updated with the annual still. I don't know. I think we need a ticket and an ID number. Can't really get SSID number because I don't know if this. At first, I thought this was a Gen Ed question, and then I realized it's a SPED.
Yeah. And Audrey responded saying students with ISPs should have annual meetings each year, and you would report the meet, plan, and serve for those ISPs. At minimum, I'd recommend you add the meet records for those students so you're not held accountable for any overdue meetings. If they don't have ISPs and are just being reassessed under child find, those don't have to be updated, reported each year. Those would only be reported if an ISP or IEP is accepted. That's how I understand it too. If the student was actually being served under an ISP, then we definitely want to have that student in CALPADS. So I think that's the question. And Brian is asking that same thing. Was the student actually participating on ISP? So that will be determining factor there, Carla. Okay. And she answered yes. So in that case, Carla, I would say that we need that student reported, and you should have as Audrey mentioned, that meet, plan, and serve. The SWIT's record should say eligible and participating in that case.
I don't understand how he didn't get an error though, because wouldn't it tell them that they haven't reported?
I mean, if the student doesn't have an enrollment in CALPADS, right, then CALPADS doesn't know any better. It's like
Yeah, but
it's
they're
just
saying the student had been enrolled for the past 2 years,
they did
right?
not report the student the last 2 years.
Oh, so they exited the student out. They couldn't, yes, you're correct. They couldn't have an enrollment record. And so they had no enrollment in CalPADS. Got it. But then you
Yeah, that's
don't
how I
go back,
understand it.
but then you have to backdate all the records. Because then she wants to report the last 2 years of the student's enrollment. I mean, well, she want to update their plan records and they need an enrollment record in order to have a plan record. I still think we
Right.
need a ticket.
I mean, yeah, if you want to submit a ticket, Carly, and get specific answers, but I would recommend that you start with just this year because this is,
Yes.
for your initial deadline, you want to just take care of this year, and then as time allows, go back and fill in the prior year data.
Absolutely agreed.
Right. Okay. I'm going to circle back. Carla's, this is a follow-up to one of the questions, I think. Some of these students are classified staff, not certificated. Oh, in regards to the Prop 28 teachers.
Classified staff members don't get reported in CalPADS, only certificated.
Mhm. Okay, Jacqueline, question 1. For not reporting homeroom, what is the code? Thanks. Sue says 6012. And then Lori says we mark our homeroom courses as exclude from state reporting at the course level in our SIS. Yeah. So depending on what SIS you use, you may have different ways of coding it.
I would check
Um,
with your SIS because
yeah.
I don't know which ones these responses go to.
Madison, I see your question 3. Lori from San Diego, question 1. Will fall to course sections that are dual credit, non-standard instructional level equal to 24, and taught by a community college instructor, thus submitted by a generic all seat of 9s, all be treated the same by CalSAS, regardless of whether they are mapped to an academic college state course code or a CTE state course code. In other words, are both the dual credit flagged CTE courses and dual credit flagged academic courses interpreted the same way in CalSAS?
That's a CalSAS question that I can't answer sadly at all.
Okay.
So I
Lori
would
then,
recommend putting that into CTC to know
okay.
like what misassignments or exceptions you might receive. Or maybe talking to your credential analyst.
Next is Heather from Shasta COE. Question 1 says, I joined late and hope you haven't already covered a similar question. One of our LEAs has a student enrolled in their independent study homeschool, but would like them to attend in-person school 2 to 3 days each week. Does this change how they report attendance? And if so, how should they report it using in-person or independent study codes?
So we don't have in-person or independent study codes. That's a SIS option that you would need to ask your vendor how to be able to do that. For CalPADS reporting, I can answer the first part of the question. Do you report these students in CalPADS? Yes, you do. For CalPADS, all we see is a primary enrollment. Okay, or well, we see an enrollment type. And so since this is the same school, um, then we would see within the staff's file how many days, how many total days you have of a student's enrollment, how many in-person days that the student was there for, and then also how many days or hours for your independent study school. So how you're tracking it locally, Heather, I can't answer just because again, that's an SIS question, but how you're reporting it to us is in those two areas. And sorry, my lady came on. Oh yeah, you didn't hear her. Alex didn't hear her. She's like, what, Sean? I'm like, great, thank you.
Okay. But you could have a hybrid, right? You could have um, a student that was both in independent study codes, and then also a regular attendance. I think that
Yeah, you can have a secondary enrollment, a primary enrollment of a 10. Yes, and a secondary enrollment. But again, all we're seeing in CalPADS is just the enrollment. We're not seeing the in-person or independent study codes. That's what I was trying to tell her. Like that's a SIS option.
mhm. In the
That makes
stats,
sense.
yeah, in the stats, you do have that distinction, right? You have the distinction of in-person attendance and then ADA generating independent study or non-ADA
Yeah.
generating independent study. Um, but I think if the question, Heather, is whether or not you can do a combo within a week of those two different kinds of attendance reporting, that's more a question for your attendance accounting people. Just because I don't know how it impacts ADA, and we don't do ADA, so that would be a question for them. Miss Andrea, question 1 says, I don't know what exit code to use for students that leave us mid-school year and don't re-enroll at another LEA until the next school year. We currently have them as E400, but are coming up on my ERD list. When they disenroll from us, we don't know where they are going, and we don't find out until the next school year when I check CalPAD.
I sure got
So
this as a ticket.
I'm sorry, what?
So I thought I got this as a ticket, but no,
Oh,
go ahead.
I was going to say that I want to start off by saying that E400 is specifically for students that are not compulsory at age. So we're talking students that are younger than 6 or 18 or older. That's the only time you can use that E400. For students that are 6 years through 17, then they don't come to school and you don't know why. You have two ways of exiting them. Either you do the SARB and you exit them as of the day that you SARB them, and or you have a full investigation, which your attendance person goes and tries to figure out where the student is. So that student's accruing all this absences until one of those two things happen. And then the exit would be an E140, which means a dropout. If the student is 18 years or older, let's say, and you do code them as an E400 because they exited, I don't know, in December, and then they come back to a different school next August, the ERD is going to potentially pick that up because it's saying, hey, the student is here, they're somewhere in California. But that is true, right? For that student, they were dropouts. They weren't attending anywhere for that chunk of time. And so in that scenario, you want to keep that exit because you want to reflect that that student actually was a dropout and didn't attend anywhere for however long of a period that was. I think that where we get into that murky water is if you exit them with an E400 and then the next Monday they turn up at a different school, then you have a little bit of discretion of making that change to a T160, let's say. But if it was, mid-year to the next school year, I would say that's a dropout. You keep that exit code E400 or an E140. Moving on, Isabel. Question 1 says, I'm new to this work. Welcome. Welcome, Isabel. Says, can you give me a general understanding of what the end date and start date rules for LIP records for EL with opt-out, etc.? Do EL kids need a LIP record with start and end date every school year? Suanne says an EL student needs only one LIP record if they stay EL. You don't create a new LIP each year. If and when the student is RFIP, then you close out the LIP record. What about an EL student who has a waiver one year but not the next? Then when they start receiving services, add a new LIP record with the first day of school and close the waivered record. Yep. So documentation that can help with this, Isabel, is our data guide. CALPADS data guide is a little outdated, but it
And
has
a user manual too.
yeah, the user manual I think may have this, but there's a really cool chart in the data guide that talks about each program, what the start date represents, what the end date represents, and whether or not you need to close it out each year. And the LIP records are eligibility, and so you don't have to close them out at the end of each year. You can leave them open. The only thing that I would caution though is that if a student moves from school A to school B within your district, you have to make sure that you are giving us that program record associated with the new school. It's very school specific, so just make sure that you are you're monitoring that. If you want to close them out each year, just because locally that works best for you, and send us a new LIP program every year, you can certainly do that. CalPads won't trigger an error or anything like that. But that's your local business process. And then Sue says, "Oh yeah,
I have a bunch typed out of what it says from the data guide, so I'm going to put that in the answer, and I think it jumps over to the answer column. So if you want to, Isabel, jump over there to see it."
And then I just was going to say that Suanne mentioned that if you're using Aries, set the school to 0. Because then Aries is smart enough to just look at the enrollment records and just give CalPads the record based on the new enrollment, and you don't have to close out and open. So again, all based on your local practices. Question 3 from Causalia. So I think we're done with question 1s. Did Sped ever join us?
Dominic's out sick.
Oh,
I didn't ping Milo, and by the time I think I found out Dominic was sick, it was like 3:40.
okay. I mean that.
And that was it.
I think for all the special ed questions that we weren't able to answer, you can either submit a ticket and we can escalate that to the SPED office, and or they have the SPED office has office hours as well every Monday at 3 p.m. So that is also another venue. So I'm going to close out anonymous participant. Question 2 from Madison at 3:06 says, in regards to question 1, we're unclear as to how or if the error plan 0729F1 relates to the charter schools for which BCOE is the authorizer. But before error plan 0729F1 was disabled, we had 65 errors. Plan 732F1, the DSEA must not equal County Office of Education when the student is enrolled in a COE and the school is not a court, community school, or juvenile court school, triggering on a report for the 2 charter schools for which BCOE is the authorizer and the reporting LEA.
So I just ran your data discrepancies, Madison, and I don't see any fatal errors for Butte COE. And I believe, but I know 729 is turned back on with that adjustment we made. And what's the other number?
732.
Double check that one. I believe it's on as well. So.
Oh, it says inactive on there.
I verified that it's turned on, so I know I can see that it is turned on. So don't know why that and Kyron's at the conference today, so we'll get that updated. But I guarantee that one's on. I'm not sure. Checking 3.2 right now. 3.2 is still turned off.
Yeah, that's okay. That's which one
Oh,
it's
okay.
on the
So
screen. Yeah.
sorry, my multitasking. Yeah, so 3.2 is turned off still. So 29. And so you see where 3.2 is at. I need to research that one. They put in a ticket to disable it, but no plan to turn it back on. So it says temporarily disabled, but then there's no. Yikes.
Okay. So Madison, I don't know if that was helpful at all, but
I don't think so. Probably not at all. So you don't have any 2.9, so that's good. But the 3.2 is I need to find out why that is when and why that's turned off.
okay. And if you do need more clarification, particularly an understanding of what that DSEA should be, the only thing that I can point you to is in that matrix, the CDE, the SPED office has a really extensive chart of the reporting scenarios for students with disabilities, which LEA should be the reporting LEA, and at the very bottom of that, there is a definition for DSEA. I don't know if it goes into detail about charter schools, but if it doesn't, then again, either a ticket or join the SPED office office hours on Mondays. Okay, Causalia, question 2 at 312. Any teachers who are on leave and are not the teacher of record and who don't have any assignments, do they need to be reported?
Not the teacher leave. They don't have a record. All right.
Teacher who are on leave, they are not the teacher of record and they don't have any assignments.
They don't get reported. And Paul, that's flash something. Hold, please. It's the one with the beautiful chart and the updated Q&As from last year. 294, found it. I think the last one, yeah.
Number 2? Oh, well, but no, because this is saying that it's a teacher on record. And in this case, it's just teachers that are not the teacher of record.
Yeah,
So
it's the opposite. So you don't report anyone. And you end out, but you have to end out that teacher's record from the prior year, because they're not getting a year of service credit. They're not working, so they're not getting a year of service credit for you all. So you end out that record. And so maybe that's and Kyron put it in the user manual. That's where we said this.
so they'd need to populate the employment end date on the staff demographics.
That's correct. Thank you.
Next is Sue-Ann's question 2. What is the correct job assignment code to use for resource specialist program and academic intervention teacher?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was on Flash 294. It was at the top of it under the fall 2.
Okay.
Which teacher should be reported for the section and if it's currently vacant. Yeah, I think. Yeah, on the closeout, you were right though, Alex. It's for the teacher on leave, close the staff demographic record and end date that assignment.
Okay. Flash 294.
And
Oh,
yes.
Okay, so moving on to Sue-Ann's question 2, what is the correct job assignment code to use for resource specialist program, RSP, and academic intervention teacher? I do know that there's an FAQ on how to report resource specialist programs teachers. I believe that on the FAQ it states that job class 27, itinerant teacher, is to be used.
But my thing is, I'm not sure if I know we know what a resource specialist teacher is, but it's the other portion that we don't know. So I don't know, and I'm not sure if these are two separate teachers or if this is one. So I put in there the CALPADS digest from 1024, where basically we advise the LEAs not to go based off on a name, but what does the actual job description say that your LEA locally creates? What does that job description say, and what best either course or non or support-based assignment does it match up to? And that's how you determine which course code or which code to be able to use, which CALPADS code to be able to use.
Yeah, and the job assignment code, again, it would be either the 12 or the 27. The 27 would be if it's a push and pull out resource teacher that doesn't have any students associated or rostered to them, and that's when you would use the job class 27. But if they are rostered students, then you would use job class 12.
And then for 9271, 9231, just make sure that you're populating the 700 as well too. That's another common mistake.
Question 3 from Madison. Has the Plan 729 F1 error validation, which was disabled, been restored? And that's the one, Angela, you said was?
It has been restored with that change that's discussed below that.
Oh, okay, from Veronica. Okay. Thank you. Veronica's question 1. What exit code should you use for a student who got expelled?
It's not. That's the one that says suspension. Or so it tells them they transferred for expulsion reasons.
For disciplinary, I think that's the T165.
Depends on where they land, right? If they don't show up anywhere.
Okay.
It's a E300 if they don't have a subsequent enrollment, I believe, and a T165 if they enroll in another district or COE.
Thanks, Nathan. And that's what Kareem's saying too. So thank you all. Question 3 from Casalia. Oh, and we are past the 4 o'clock hour, folks. So just FYI, if people needed to jump off at 4 for whatever reason. There are just 2 questions, so I'm just going to keep going. Question 3 says, how do we report an admin sub? Job class 10. What is the non-classroom code for an admin sub?
This is gonna go back to the same guidance. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to mess up your name. Fremont. So, how is the administrator truly on leave over census day for the entire period? If they are, and they're not an administrator with your LEA this year, then you don't report them at all, and you report the administrator that is serving in that position. If that administrator that's serving in that position is just there for, they're not assuming that role, like on a full basis, then that person doesn't get reported to within your CALPADS reporting. Are there other ways to report those people to CDE? Possibly so, but for CALPADS reporting, you don't report them.
Okay. Follow up from Suanne. Question 2 says, what is the non-classroom based job assignment code that should be used? I'm assuming that's back to the RSP teacher and the intervention teacher. The non-classroom job assignments should only be used when the staff and that staff is not actually teaching. So if the staff is providing instruction, right, and providing support with RSP or the intervention, then they are instructing students. And so therefore, you wouldn't populate any non-classroom job assignment code. But if they are, let's say, a teacher that's not teaching or instructing students, there wouldn't be a course code associated. They would only have like a 12 let's say they have a job assignment of 12, and then you would say that they are, I don't know, mentor, or they're only doing case management. They're not actually instructing students. That's when you would use that non-classroom based. But we wouldn't see a non-classroom based job code and also a course for that teacher. Does that make sense? If they're teaching, then they would have blank non-classroom based job assignments. I believe that's all. I apologize for all the skipped special education questions, but you know, uh, kind of skeleton crew today. We will be here next Wednesday, right before Thanksgiving. So if you are around, you can join us. Same link, same time. If we don't see you, happy Thanksgiving.